Hi, today I'm going to make a video showing you my book collection. One of my interests is reading, and I really like going to thrift stores, bookstores, and also just all kinds of places that you can get books from. I think books are really interesting and they offer insight into knowledge of the world. And the internet can be really interesting too, but sometimes it can be a little bit mind-numbing, and it's easy to get stuck on like the wrong things. And sorry, I'm just a little bit upset about a few things right now, and I'm really putting some thought into it, and I'm just a little bit nervous actually. But yeah, so if I seem a little bit off or shaky, I don't really mean to be, and there's nothing wrong with me. I just am processing like some really traumatizing things that people have said. And I'm like a really sensitive person, and I always try to like be in a higher state of mind that isn't ignorant and like belligerent, and is conscientious of the people of the strange world that's around me that has a lot of really bad things happening in it. And so when like people are like bullies and they're really ignorant and say belligerent things that are traumatizing, and for me it's like really hard to process and cope with it, because it's just so like it just really like I'm kind of a more introverted person who likes to keep a more peaceful state of mind. So like something as like simple as like one thing that's like really bad, it's like just it drives your mind kind of crazy, and like your mind goes into overdrive a little bit, trying to just avoid any kind of negative side effect of like even just reading stuff on Facebook, like through Facebook comments, because it's just so terrible, the things that some people say. I can't, it's so hard to deal with. And I'm a person who likes to read. Like I read books a lot, I read on the internet a lot, I'm still not really like, I'm not like reading through full entire books and studying all of them. I'm more of an extroverted reader, and I have bought many books over the years, but I haven't kept all of them because I've also been traveling. But I do skim through the books that I read and like understand the gist of what I'm reading, and for the most part I've been focusing a lot of interest into just political stuff, and it's like more like politically correct stuff. And for me, I just like feel like I really have a really good grasp and understanding on political correctness right now, and just how to incorporate it into your everyday mentality and the way that you treat people and the way that you treat things. And I'm also just so it's very good knowledge to have about if you want to like, I think if you want to do well in the world, if you're politically correct, you'll have an advantage over people who aren't politically correct, because you have just like a more charming edge than people who aren't politically correct. And that's why it's really good for like business and everything, even if like you really want to believe, at least to an extent, the things they are saying, and also just to live like a happy, fulfilling life. Like you want to contribute positively for your society in any way it's possible, which also is good for your image, if that's something that you're worried about, which I'm not. I'm really genuinely concerned about people. Anyways, this book is called The Baghdad Vita, as it is. It has a picture of a blue Hindu god. I'm not sure which one that is. It's either Shiva or Kali, who are both destructive gods. And this book is like about like, it's what like one of the last written books or something, I don't know, and it's kind of apocalyptic and dark. It's actually a very dark book to be reading, and it has a lot of prayers in it. it's not Han, it's not really self-help, you know, or yoga. Like, it tells you that people who do yoga today, like, aren't really doing yoga. They're just kind of stretching their bodies, but they're not actually, you know, endeavoring and enlightening spiritual self-practices that are usually revolve around, like, sacrificing things and possessions. Which is really nice, actually. This one I bought in Uptown Chamberlain's. It's called Aphrodisiac. And I bought it in the lesbian section, but it's gay male fiction. And I haven't read through it, but it looks really juicy and, you know, descriptive. And it's really nice. This one is called Sex, Time, and Power by Leonard Shlain. How women's sexuality shaped human evolution. And womanhood and women's sexuality is really interesting in regards to evolutionary concepts, because I feel like some of what Darwinism said was like a lie. And it just has a lot of really interesting, I haven't actually read through it yet. I saw a few of the pictures in here and they're really interesting. Hold on. Each of us is a combination of masculine and feminine traits. It's something I genuinely believe. And the meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. Gay and lesbian couples are ubiquitous throughout human culture and history. There was one book, I don't know, I thought it was funny. One picture, I'll have to fucking, I just want to write a paper about this or something and take screenshots of some of the pictures in here. It's something, I don't know. But this I'll definitely have to read through one of these days because it looks really good. It looks really intense though. This one is called Lofting by Alma Maciel, and I bought this at the Goodwill in Jacksonville Beach. And at the Goodwill in Jacksonville Beach, and to be honest, like, it's not very good. It's about a woman having sex online, basically. At least that's what the first section was about, and it was back and forth on chat rooms using usernames. And it uses like the language in it to me is too descriptive. It has like a creepy, dark essence intertwined into it. So I don't know if there's supposed to be a metaphor behind the way that it's written, but it kind of almost feels like it's just like really try-hardy to be like really like Elodie or something, and it just isn't. This one is called Psychic Exploration, A Challenge for Science, which is something that I'm really into. This like scientifically explains spiritual experiences such as psychokinesis and telekinesis. This one I just got from the library downtown Jacksonville, called The Wasteland and Other Writings by T.S. Eliot. And my dad used to read some of T.S. Eliot's books. They gave it to him when he was going through drug rehab. And This one. It's pretty good. It's very dark, you know. It's called The Wasteland. I haven't read through it. It looks a little, it's older. It's an older poet, but you know, for the time it's good to read about their existential crisis even happening back then. This one is called Good Is Gone. It's a novel of suspense, and it's about a woman who went missing from her family and then came back different, basically, is what it's about. That's the gist I got from it, looking at the about section, and I haven't actually read through the whole book. This one is called A Time Traveler's Wife. And yeah, I don't know what it's about exactly. As a professor in the MFA, the most untraditional love story. This is a celebrated tale of Henry Campbell, a dashing, adventuresome librarian who invariably travels through time. An artist whose life takes a natural sequential course. So these people are like having an affair while he's a time traveler or something. That's really cool. It's really far out there. This one is called Madame Bovary. Gustave Flaubert was a very dark author. Emma cheats on her husband and commits suicide. That's pretty much what it's about. I'm very sure. I have a book about yoga that I found in a physical store. This one is called The Royal Art of Alchemy. And I bought it. I'm not sure if I bought this at Solomon's, which was like a resale store of like old expired food and other things. Or if it was like from Seattle. Sorry, I just have like a weird premonition. I don't know. I can't about something, but some anxiety trying to me. Because I was just thinking, oh, this book was from, I could have bought this book in Seattle. And Seattle, Washington was a lot different from Jacksonville, Florida. And I'm back in Jacksonville, and I just unfortunately recontacted some old friends. And it was just so crazy, like, what exactly I was able to see differently after being across the country and then being in a mostly very liberal city, even though it wasn't perfect. I don't know what the problem was. Well, the problem was it was too expensive to live in, and there was a whole bunch of different reasons why I left. But Jacksonville can be whack if you just have to know the right people. It's a really big city, so I mean, it's like really sprawled out, and there's some nice areas. I don't know if I want to stay here though. It's so rural out here, like, fuck. This one I got from my aunts, and it's called The Serpent and the Rainbow by Wade Davis. And Wade Davis is a Harvard scientist who goes down to like South American and countries and Indo islands. West Indies Islands, whatever, the West Indies, like Haiti, to discover Bruja and Haitian voodoo and research the topic of occultists who would kill people and then bring them back to life to sell them as slaves, which is like a really shitty thing to do to someone. This one I did get in Seattle, and it's called Vanity Fair by William Makepeace Thackeray. As the coach pulls out of Miss Pinkerton's academy. I don't know what exactly this one. Flings their parting gifts. Becky Sharp is one of the unforgettable characters, the model adventuress. Witty, clever, and accomplished, she is also poor, having been orphaned in her teens and left to scheme her way in the world. In Vanity Fair, title taken from John Bunyan, we follow her single-minded progress against the backdrop of Napoleonic England. The canvas is broad, with this picture of Waterloo on a social event. Allusions of colonial India and through thorough passage through English society. We'll have to read through this. I read parts of it, and it was very, like, a novel without a hero. I just thought it was interesting about a young girl. That's like my favorite genre of books is about girls who are like misbehaving, or just books that are like not gender affluent, basically, for women and women who behave badly, usually sadly because they have like unfortunate lives. Same for them. This one I bought in Portland, Oregon, called Tropical Nature: Life and Death in the Rainforest of Central and South America. And this one I get to go through either, but it makes me really sad, to hear about the things that are happening in South America. And I don't know. I must be about life without me. As you can see, all these books are like really intense topics. I'm even doing like really intense things. This one is called The Lessons of History, which I don't know what it's about, honestly. I bought this one in Seattle. This one is actually interesting. It's a very short book. And it just kind of gives you small frames of like different, aspects of humanity and how they correspond with history. This one is called like Religion in History, Morals in History, Race in History, Biology in History. So that's kind of what makes it really interesting. It's very existential. This was another one that I found in Seattle. This is just like some kind of art and culture magazine that they must have sold. It's from the 70s. Well, it's not a magazine, it's like a, book, but it had all different, like, it has an edition. It's spring 1969. They don't sell anything like this anymore. And I found this at a garage sale in Seattle. Not a garage sale, but someone was having like a yard sale outdoors. And this one just has just random stories about different art and like historical things. My family thinks one of the things that like is going to like, I don't know what I'm going to do. A lot of the people in Jacksonville, Florida, like don't believe in global warming and they don't take it very seriously and haven't put much thought into it. And I honestly don't want them to. But it's like, wow, it's so crazy. It's too They haven't put any thought into it. Like, what would happen if they started putting any thought into it? They would, like, commit fascist genocide or something. That's already what's been starting. It's, like, something that's been starting to happen. But up there, like, people think about it. Like, they have votes on it everywhere. They're really existential and very bad. And so are all the people. This one I also bought in Seattle, The Atlas of the Solar System by Bill Young. And this one is just all about astrology of the local solar system area. Has some really cool pictures in it. Has like this picture right inside of Mars, actually. It has a description somewhere in here about Martians. This is Venus. Oh, this was Venus actually. So, whoops, forgive me. Venus is further away from Mars. This is Mercury, Venus, Earth. Earth, Moon, Mars. Yeah, it has a whole chapter about life on Mars. It's from the 70s or 80s, I think. It's really cool. Look at this picture. Of the Martian animal kingdom are laxer and clumsier and larger, or else slender than earthly types. This was postulated because of Mars' continuous gravity. The Atlas of Humanity with explanatory text. New edition. I read this because I actually want to go to nursing school. Have a Word on Me is a book about language. I forgot where I got this one again. I think I got this one in Seattle too. I want to learn how to, I need to practice my grammar skills. I honestly haven't been reading or writing like at all, actually. I mean, I've been reading, but I haven't been writing like anything official or actually like practicing my grammar or comprehension skills on a regular basis, and I really need to. All of my comprehension skills have been going towards, you know, like shit that isn't like meant to like help me progress, but just towards like really existential kind of things. And as well as political correctness, which has been aiding in an existential crisis about things. I don't know why. This one is called Linguistics, Language and Communications, which is another book about grammar that I would like to read into. It's very Northwestern though, however. The way they talked was different.
Life is tragic, of course, but when you give someone that image, that singular image.
Grandmother's Secrets, the Ancient Rituals and Healing Powers of Belly Dancing. This one I actually read a little bit, and I just thought it was really beautiful. It's about, it tells stories of women in South America. And it's just a bunch of women laughing together and dancing with their like bellies hanging out and then dancing, and that's fucking awesome. And this one is by Aldous Huxley, Ape in Essence. He's the one who wrote Brave New Worlds. This one I bought in Chamlin's, and this one is really like dark and existential too. These are like books to have in your dresser when you commit. Books to read before you commit suicide. Maybe someone wants me to die right now. They're just really trying to get me to have no hope. And I just be like reading Conan Genius or something. It's another book about the future. To be honest, it just made me think of like Essence of Man or something. But this is about ape, like in essence. This is what he's thinking. This is what I think too, kind of, a little bit. Just a little bit. This one isn't even necessary to show you. This is about careers and stuff, which isn't really that good. It just gives a bunch of different careers. Actually, it probably is good to read through. Oh, look at these. This is a good, useful book to survive with. This one I got from my aunt's cabinet, which I need to return to her and play G more, because honestly, I can't read it. Anyway, yeah. I don't understand ethics to this point. I've turned to Ethica YG more. This one is Dracula by Bram Stoker, which I bought in Portland, which when you're in the Pacific Northwest, like, vampires is really the way to describe how you're feeling. You're totally just vamping out up there in the rain. It's pretty fucking awesome. The Anthological Cosmological Principle. I just like things about, psychology, which it seems to be about. Honestly, I don't know what the anthropic cosmological principle. Forgive me. I don't even know exactly what anthropic even means. I'm not sure why about this one. But it's always good to know what it means, because it just looked really interesting. I liked the head on it. But it definitely is a science. And I liked what the caption was. For all those who are interested in man's relation to the cosmos. That is like just really trippy and amazing. And I bought a book about Santa Muerte, which is always really interesting to me, because Santa Muerte and Precarious was meant for people who are in like dark situations. That's why Latino Woman started. has different prayers in the history of Santa Marta. And they worship like dead saints, basically. So that's interesting. To me, as someone who's always been non-religious and kind of is mixed and has had religion forced on them to just a little bit. Not too bad though. Like I didn't really go to church much when I was younger, but it was still just always like strange to me. I have a history book on the age of Napoleon that I pulled from my aunt's house because I've always been interested. As soon as I started reading about Napoleon, I was just curious about that part of history. It's a whole big ass book about it. And St. Helena is a popular cultural topic anyways. So I guess it is a good part of history just to know about. I have a Bedford Introduction to Literature, and one of the first chapters was it's like a religious book, so I don't know about it. I wasn't sure if I wanted to read through this one. But maybe it's good, I don't know. The first one section was about romance books, which isn't something that you read about in school anymore. The nuts and bolts of college writing. This is just a book about how to write, and it has a picture of Mona. It has a really cool like cover of Mona Lisa and a bunch of letters surrounded by her. I have a few books about lesbianism. This one is called Surpassing the Love of Men by Lillian Faderman. It's old. It's an older book. It's really interesting though. It has a picture of two lesbians from an 1800s painting because, you know, it's a little bit annoying that it's a concept that lesbianism is like a brand new thing. But it actually isn't. Like, it's been around for a long time. I don't like the way it's written. She also explores frequently contradictory responses at once titillating and shocking. That erotic images of two women's friends. Yeah, that is good actually. You know, because lesbian women are like hypersexualized as it is. A Woman of No Importance by Oscar Wilde was another one in my aunt's cabinet. She was an Oscar Wilde fan. She had a few things by him. He was good. This one is called The Lesbian Reader, and it's actually like a magazine style book. It has a picture of like two like hippie ladies on the back of it from the 70s, and it's sort of like a book that's published on a regular basis, like a magazine would be, which they don't really sell anymore these days because we have the internet probably. I think it's what it is at least. Yeah, it's an Amazon quarterly anthology, so it came out like 4 times a year. This one, The Concept of Anxiety by Soren. A simple psychologically orienting deliberation on the debaudic issue of hereditary sin. Which is a really interesting book, in my opinion, about something that I see on a frequent basis is, including myself, you know, the anxieties that are embedded within us from like century after century after century of like, you know, dogmatic religion and also the society as well. And religion, honestly. Like, religion definitely was pretty much the main and enforcing ruler for a very long time. Is this called So You Want to Be a Lesbian? And it's kind of just a smart ass book about, you know, it has like quizzes and stuff asking if you're a lesbian and just kind of like stereotypical jokes about being a lesbian. I should have Aristotle's Physics, which I don't know about. They were super old Greek philosophers that we learned about in college. They're pretty good. They wrote some really interesting things. This one is really disgusting. It's called Inside the Third Reich by Albert Speer. Unfortunately, I hate reading about the Holocaust, the thing that happened during the Holocaust. God, it's really disgusting and just terrible. Everything that happened. Anyways, that's about all the books that I have. I have had bought more books over, you know, the years, but I've lost a few of them. I lost quite a few of my books in Hurricane Harvey, and also I've been traveling, so I'm not able to carry around all the books that I own with me all the time. And sometimes, you know, I'll get a space and then I have to leave the space, and then I get kicked out. So I'm just laughing because honestly, like at certain points, I was literally like just going from place to place, and I was just buying so many books and like having to carry around like a whole backpack of books. Like it was kind of ridiculous. Like I need to buy a Kindle. I finally have an Amazon Prime, and I have a book that I bought online for the first time. I bought the Oxford Dictionary of Fashion online because I wanted to actually learn fashion terms instead of just kind of winging stuff when I talk about fashion and stuff. So yeah. And yep, that's about all I just wanted to show today. Was my little book collection. And sorry, I'm acting a little bit strange. Sometimes, another thing that I just wanted to mention was like, sometimes if people are like being abused, they start acting like strange and crazy and irrational because the way that the people are treating them is irrational. So they start acting irrationally. And if you're really young, if you're like still a child, then that's when you really get caught up into that. And so like, yeah, like people are different. People have differences. Like if a group of people bullies me, I don't think it's the end of the world, and I'm just going to move forward, and I'm just not going to be their friends, because like people have differences, people have different senses of humor, people have different styles and mannerisms and everything, and that's how like someone ends up getting bullied or something. And it's just not right to bully people because they're different than you. It's best to be conscientious of people's differences and to just know who to be friends with and who not to be friends with. And obviously, like, I was in the wrong friend group because they were definitely like they were just very ignorant people. They really were. And unfortunately, I feel like I gave away pieces of myself to them, and I like lost pieces of myself from them. And there's like nothing that I can do about it now but just move forward, honestly. And maybe like sue someone, possibly, but that's about it. And like yeah, they were extremely toxic. They didn't read. Like, I used to be a really heavy reader. Like, these are people who didn't like reading. I talk shit about school, and then I started talking shit about school, and then I dropped out. And like, they were manipulating me into skipping school, and I didn't used to ever skip school. Like, I used to have really bad anxiety, and this person was just really mean to me and like took advantage of the fact that I had anxiety. And then I ended up like being friends with just a bunch of Nazis or something. I don't know, like a bunch of alt-right Nazis, like transphobes or something. And yeah. And yeah. It's probably why people of color get diagnosed with bipolar disorder. But they're really just acting out irrationally because of just the daily abuse that they're receiving every day and having a lot of anxiety and different complexes. Like, it really fucks people up. It sucks. It's too bad. Like, even like higher institutions in America are kind of really ignorant, and they aren't like aware of like cultural issues or anything. People in America are mostly just worried about like getting by every single day and just convenience, and they just want everything to be as simple for them as possible. And that's kind of, psychologists basically treat it the same way. Like, it's just a machine of whatever. Yeah. And I don't know, I don't think people of color should always be getting diagnosed with bipolar disorder. And that's about all I really have to say. I'm just shook, man. I'm shook. I'm going to make a video about this tomorrow, but I also just want to make a video showing the books that I read. I don't know, I just feel like showing the world that I'm a well-read person, and that I read a lot, and that I'm like a very intelligent person who is very like woke about things and reads about politics and stuff. This is really ridiculous, like some of the things that people say. I mean, unless I get too high, like all people get weird when they're high. So like, you know. Especially if you're a smart person, then you probably get really weird when you're high. So, you know, like, whenever I get high, I get all philosophical about shit, and then I start thinking too much, and I'm, like, really a smart person. I'm not someone that you want to, like, really try to get something by, or something like that. So, or if you're a stupid, ignorant person, and you're really mean, I'm not going to be nice to you, and nothing that you can say to me is going to manipulate me into being nice to you. And I'm not going to become you. I'm going to be very mean to you, actually. So, yeah. there's just no way around that. Like, if people are being bullies and they're ignorant and they're mean to people, like I'm going to be mean to you back, and I'm going to judge you, and I'm going to definitely think that I'm like way better than you, because I am so much better than you.